All right, let's talk about the Detroit Lions and where do they go from here? Because they're in a pretty good spot, actually, at least for this upcoming next year. I think, down the line is when things get a little bit tricky, but I think they're okay for now. Again, I think you could look at this opportunity this year and think of it as a missed opportunity, and it was. I mean, you had kind of an easier road to the conference championship than you usually get as a 3 seed due to the Cowboys losing, getting the extra home game, getting to play Tampa Bay instead of having to go on the road somewhere to play a 2 seed. At the same time, though, they nearly beat the San Francisco 49ers, and I think they'll kind of look back at that and maybe say, man, that was a shot right there that they weren't able to take. But it doesn't mean that it's over, and it doesn't mean the Lions can't get back there next year. In fact, it almost feels like this next year, this whole rebuild was built for the 2024-2025 season, right? If you look at their cap space and cash situation, they have some money to work with, right? $60 million in cap space, or nearly $60 million in cap space, and double that in cash, which is often the better predictor of how much money they'll spend. So, okay, well, that's good, but sometimes you see teams have a lot of cap space, but have a lot of guys they have to sign, so it's actually not that good. But here for Detroit, that's not really the case. Like, the only guy that you look at and say, yeah, that'd be a pretty significant loss if he goes would be Jonah Jackson, starting guard for them, really good for them, definitely someone you want to keep, although, even when he went down, they were still able to replace him all right, I thought, in that game. But still, again, a lot of role players, which, losing a role player is still significant. It's still something that, you have to replace, right? So it's not nothing, but still, Vitae, CJ Gardner-Johnson, Craig Reynolds, Brock Wright, who is a good blocking tight end for them, Kendall Vildor, and Emmanuel Mosley. If you let those guys go, I mean, that's definitely a, position they're going to probably attack is the edge position. Romeo Okora, who, hasn't done a lot since getting paid by them, Jerry Jacobs, and then Teddy Bridgewater. Again, guys who you'll have to replace if you let them go, essentially, but you can let them go. It's not the end of the world. If you look at this chart, so this is, again, the cap space and cash, like we talked about earlier. The bottom is how much it would cost to re-sign everyone. $48 million. I mean, they'd still have $10 million in cap space and, $70 million in cash at this point. They'd be, easily able to go out and try to make something happen. They could go out and sign some big name free agents. And, I was thinking, okay, well, what are some of the big name free agents you think they would maybe go after? A couple of guys that I thought of, Chris Jones popped into my head, right? Wouldn't that kind of make some sense? Put him next to Hutchinson. Maybe you could even draft another pass rusher, try to make that better. I definitely think they're going to go out and try and address the defensive back room scenario. Maybe go out if Jalen Johnson's available, definitely throw a bag of money at him. If L'Jarius Sneed is available, go out and throw a bag of money at him. Again, it's so hard to predict this stuff now due to the fact that, like Josh Allen for the Jaguars, he's available. Is he going to hit the open market? And another thing I think could be interesting is, do they even go out and get another wide receiver? Which might seem insane. Why would, their receiving core is great, but I don't know, if T. Higgins or Mike Evans is available and you have the money, it's something I could see, because those are two good outside threats. Kind of the one thing that I feel like the Lions receiving core doesn't have is just a pure, go win on a go route down the field, on the sideline. I don't know if they have guys who can do it here and there, but they don't have an elite guy at that. And, if your offense is missing something, it's something you could look towards. Although I definitely think they're going to probably try and allocate a lot of their resources towards defense. So again, do you do it in a splash play move like Chris Jones, or do you do it in more of a subtle way? Do you go out and get, try to get some secondary help? I think probably the secondary help would be the main thing they want to do, because, listen, it's not that they didn't address the secondary, right? They actually addressed it a lot this offseason. It just didn't work. The moves that they made didn't really work. And again, part of that was injury, but again, they also kind of took some flyers on guys who typically get injured. So don't know how much you can really look at that and say, oh, we got unlucky. They need at least another outside corner. And another thing I'm thinking about with the Lions is the future. They're not going to be in quite the same cap situation as they are right now. If you look at some of the 2025 free agents, you have Jared Goff, Taylor Decker, Penei Sewell, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now, Sewell is a guy who, it's going to be his rookie deal is up, but he still has his 5th-year option, which will obviously be picked up. So there's that aspect of it. But still, a 5th-year option, we're looking at $20 million for that. So you're still paying him a good amount. Taylor Decker's getting over 20. I think Jared Goff might be getting over his $30 million now, especially if he has another year like he had. And to be honest, if I'm Jared Goff and I'm in Jared Goff's camp, I'm trying to get that deal done today. I want to get as much money as possible now. Don't wait until the end of this offseason. Let's make the contract happen now. And so do you get locked in there? Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to get over $20 million. So we're looking at, I think close to $100 million. I actually think it's possible. You're looking at $100 million with just these 4 players coming up in that offseason. So going to put a lot of money into those 4 players. They have money to do it, but now you're losing kind of the ability to go out and add more pieces once you get there. And then following year, they also have more guys like Hutchinson that has to get paid. And it's part of the issue of drafting well, right? Is then you have to start eventually paying your players. And it's a thought I had where historically, you look at football, and there's kind of 2 ways you can win a championship. There's the obvious, have a star quarterback, you're in a great situation, you can win a championship that way. And then for the longest time, and this hasn't really been the case for the past few years, but for the longest time, it was if you don't have the star quarterback, but you have a good quarterback, you kind of can still build small windows where you can be competitive and try to win a championship, right? Like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the early 2000s, or even the Baltimore Ravens in the early 2000s. These teams that aren't necessarily the going to be good for 15 years, but might be able to be good for 5 years and try to win a Super Bowl there. I think the Lions are in one of those windows, in my opinion. And I don't know how long it's going to last, because I'm not saying in 2025 they can't win a championship after that, but I think their best team in this window will probably be next year. That's what I think. Doesn't mean that they'll win it all. And again, this was kind of their better pathway, even though I think they'll probably be better next year. But I do think they'll be better next year. I think there is a window. And I think, to me, if I'm the Lions, I'm going all in for next year. I'm not worrying about following years. I'm trading first-round picks. I'm doing what I can. If there's a good corner that's on the market, just trade and get the good corner. Like, don't worry about signing a guy and hoping it works out. Like, I think maybe just go out and make some moves to try and be good right now. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Because yes, you have young players, but you're going to have to start paying those young players, and then you're in trouble. So for me, I think you kind of do what, to me, it's the 2021 Los Angeles Rams thing, right? It's exactly that, where they drafted very well. Even though they didn't have first-round picks, they still drafted very well. But they kind of realized, hey, our cap situation's getting a little bit tough. So they traded for Matt Stafford. They traded for Von Miller. I'm not saying you trade for Matt Stafford and trade away poor Jared Goff again. I'm just saying, maybe you go out and add pieces to, maximize your potential to win this season. That's what I would do if I'm the Detroit Lions. As a whole, they're in a pretty good spot. I don't know how long it's going to last, but they're in a pretty good spot right now. And again, when you make the conference championship and then are talking about potentially adding a superstar defensive player to the mix after that, that feels pretty good. Although, again, a missed opportunity against the Niners. But still, the future is very bright for the Lions. That's what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.